Jonathan Obodai Sai, an estate developer, filed a contempt application against the Minister for Defense, Mr. Dominic Nitiwo, and the Chief of Defense Staff, Vice Admiral Seth Amuama of the Ghana Armed Forces, where he argued military personnel denied him entry to repossess his land after a court's judgment was entered in his favor in an action against the Attorney General, the Minister, and the CDS on November 1, 2018. He said the military continued to interfere with his property. Based on his argument, the court found the Minister for Defense, Mr. Dominic Nitiwo, and the Chief of Defense Staff, Vice Admiral Seth Amuama, guilty. The Attorney General, Mr. Godfred Yabuadame, whose attention was drawn to the matter, filed an application to have the conviction and the entire contempt proceedings set aside. Prior to Mr. Yabuadame's argument, Mr. Charles Amonkote, a lawyer for the applicant, informed the court that his client wanted to discontinue the case because the Attorney General had assured him that compensation will be paid to him in respect of the said land. However, the court, presided over by Justice Nabila Naima Wahab, ruled that the application had already been heard and concluded. The Attorney General, Mr. Godfred Yabuadame, said a cursory observation of the commotion for committal for contempt showed that there were no proper respondents named in the application. He argued that the application was titled the Minister for Defense and Chief of Defense Staff, and the application was brought in the official capacity of the respondents. Mr. Yabuadame further argued that at the time the alleged contempt of court was committed, the Chief of Defense Staff was not in office. The Attorney General again contended that a contempt application is such that it is issued against the specific person to which the allegation is being held and not a corporate entity. Mr. Charles Amonkote, lawyer for the applicant respondent, opposed to the application for the court to set aside the contempt conviction and the entire proceedings. He told the court that all offices are occupied by personalities for a period of time. Justice Nabila Naima Wahab, after listening to the parties, set aside the earlier conviction and the entire contempt proceedings. She held that although the contempt proceedings have already been heard and a ruling delivered, the proceedings against the parties not personally named deprived the court of the jurisdiction to consider the sentence. The court concluded that a judgment or an order given without jurisdiction is void, and the court is under a legal obligation to set same aside.